people. So, as anybody has, one of these, everybody's talking about this topic. Ariel Castro hung himself in his prison cell, and of course, this was the guy who had captured three girls, and and all the used them as sex slaves and all these other things. And I've really not wanted to talk about this subject. This is one of these subjects that I just was like, this is just something that, just like the David Carradine thing, I really didn't want to talk about the subject because, unfortunately, a lot of what he did was stuff we do, except for the fact of one major issue: consent. The people that he was doing what he was doing to did not consent to do it. And this is the key factor of everything that we do. Everything we do involves consent. Even in things like rape play, humiliation play, interrogation scenes. Anytime you see play go on inside the BDSM community, it's done with consent. These were consenting adults who chose to do this, regardless of how you feel about it. I remember hearing a story about a neighbor saying, "Oh, he had the three girls naked and on dog collars, wandering around the backyard on their hands and knees." The thing is, I've done that. But the difference between what I did and what he did was consent. The girls who I did it with not only did it, not only wanted to do it, but enjoyed doing it. The girls he did it with did not. They did not want to do it. He was threatening them. He was beating them up. He was doing all of these things that are the absolute opposite of what we do. Everything we do with the full express knowledge and consent of the person we are doing it with. Even in consensual, non-consensual play, like rape play, humiliation play, things like that. Things that one of the few times where safe words are usually abandoned in necessity of the scene. Even though, my opinion about safe words, I do love doing things like interrogation scenes, and humiliation play sometimes is really fun, but it is difficult because of the fine line that you have to walk with doing that. But the thing about it is that unlike what he did, before we even start, we have long conversations expressing what it is that is going to be done, and so they understand before they get going what's happening. What he did, I am not shed one tear of his passing. Not one. I honestly believe he took the cheap way out. If you're going to do something like that, if you're going to, take 10 years of three separate people's lives and beat them and sexually assault them and do all these other things without their express consent, then guess what? You deserve all of what you get. I'm not a person who believes in hell, but if there is a hell, I'm hoping that he's down there right now and Satan's shoving pineapples straight up his ass, because he deserves it. Set him right along, right next to, right next to Adolf Hitler and all those other guys. Because here's the bottom line: it doesn't matter what you do. You could do everything he did if you have consent. But also the fact is, you need to make sure everybody's of age. That's the main thing. They have to be old enough to make those choices. Okay? And depending on where you're at, depending on what state or country you live in, those ages do range. But that's not what this is about. What this is about is this guy. He's going, I was sick. Yes, you were. But you needed to go get fucking help before you went and kidnapped the first girl. And not only did you do it once, you did it 3 times. 3 girls. Just plucked off the street and used them, abused them, raped them, beat them up, made them miscarriage, all of these other things. And the thing about it is, the thing that sucks the most is the fact that you used the shit that we do as part of your sick little scheme. This is not playtime. This is real life. And if the people you're doing it with are not okay with it, then don't do it. I don't care what it is. It is a big, it is one of those words that whatever it is could mean anything. And if the person you're doing it with is not okay with it, then you deserve every bit of hell that you're going to that you're going to get. Okay? I honestly believe that a person like that, if there are other people like that, we need to make sure that they don't get the chance to breathe. Because, again, you could do whatever you want. And I've done some really hardcore things. I've done some really deep, hard stuff. But I had consent. I had the person giving me the right to do it. He did not. So out of all of this, if we can take one lesson, and one lesson only, from what's going on here, it's one thing. Get consent. Get consent. Get consent. Get consent. And if they're not old enough to consent, then guess what? You have a major issue. Okay, and you're talking to someone who has talked to people who are underage, and I've probably made, a mistake or two in my life. But the bottom line is that they were at least old enough to understand what the fuck I was talking about. They were not 14 years old. Okay? I'm not taking them and throwing them in a basement and beating them up and making them have children and then beating them up to make sure they miscarriage and all this other crap. Everything I do, every time I've done it, minus 1 or 2 times, I have always made sure there was consent. Okay? Have I made mistakes in the past? Yes. But have I made mistakes at the level this guy did? Not even within a million miles of it. Now, if what I'm saying here you don't agree with, please stop watching my videos now. Please. If you're a subscriber, unsubscribe. If you don't agree about the consent aspect, then please leave this lifestyle. Because if you don't have consent, you have nothing. Okay? In the community, you hear safe, sane, and consensual. The thing about it is it doesn't, there's a lot of stuff we do that's really not safe. There's a lot of stuff we do that's really not sane. But you gotta have consent. That's really all it comes down to. Because if you don't have consent, it's assault, it's rape, it's possibly murder, it's things that you could go to jail for a long period of time on. So you know what? You need to be absolutely sure that you have 100% consent. Even if you're going to do something as hardcore as a rape scene, you need to make sure you have consent. You need to make sure that everybody is aware of what's going on and that everybody is okay with it. So, I'm getting angry and I'm ranting. So, like I said, do I think, am I upset about that that he's dead? Not at all. So, links and stuff below or on the side or wherever the hell YouTube's putting it out. Do those things YouTube likes. If there's anything you want to talk about, find me on FET. That's it for now. Be well and safe.